Hey everyone, this is Vangelis from Epitrapaizoume, and today I'm really excited to show you a new game that really caught my eye for the moment. And it's a game that has a really deep strategic Euro-style approach where every decision matters and your, let's say, engine starts becoming more and more in the course of the game. And this is Tinctura. This is a game that lets you take the role of a pharmacist in a world where patients come to you with all sorts of needs in order for you to produce and procure remedies for them. And this means making ointments, tinctures, tablets and special recipes. But nothing comes easy, as you'll need the ingredients and you'll need to train yourself, train your apprentices, collect the ingredients and produce the medicines. In each round you secretly plan your day hour by hour, and you're staying at your pharmacy, you're performing experiments, you're moving at the forest, detouring and collecting ingredients. But whatever you choose, timing is of essence here, because unlike other games when you have a specific turn order, in this game you have a turn order different each hour of the round, and you play 8 and 9 hours in each of the rounds. So you're going to do all sorts of different things. You're going to focus on your planning phase with specific markers indicating that for hour 8 or 9 I will work in the forest, for 9 or hour 10 and 11 I'm going to work in the town, and then move and work to my pharmacy and then back to the forest and so on, and plan your whole day around it. Then each player is going to remove their screen, and we're going to proceed to the execution phase, to the action phase, where players are going to each focus at a specific hour of the day, 8 o'clock, and depending on the T-track, which is a turn order and changes from hour to hour, which is fantastic, you're going to decide in the area where you placed your indication marker, your apprentice marker, saying a green marker that you're going to work, let's say, in the forest, what action you're going to take there. And you have different actions in the town, different actions in the pharmacy, and in the forest you go to collect ingredients. Sounds really interesting, and it's a worker placement under the hood with exceptional planning phase. It has a real feeling of patients coming to you on the 18th, 19th century, where you're a pharmacist and you're trying to cure them and trying to produce the correct remedy for them, but the time is of essence, because you only have one day until the specific hour you pick them up, until the next exact hour of the next day to produce the medicine. Otherwise you gain a negative victory point. And this is like in essence very thematic, because if you are a service provider, in this case producing remedies and pills and ointments and tinctures for your patients, if you don't produce them, they still have the disease and they still ache, so they leave dissatisfied, and you gain negative victory points. So all in all, I'm going to show you, this is a prototype, I'm going to show you how the game works. It's starting crowdfunding as we speak. It's a really interesting and unique Euro game with a very fresh and innovative take on the planning phase, which is very thematic, and the execution of the worker placement is amazing. I'm going to show you how the game plays, and then we're going to move at the end of, after I show you how the game plays with all the different time tracks and the timestamps at the description of the video, to jump directly to different sections of the video. I'm going to show you at the end of the video my final wrap-up and first impressions after my first sessions of the game. So join me at the table, I'll show you how the game plays. Do visit the link in the description of the video below to find out more about the game and the link to the crowdfunding campaign page, and see you in a nutshell. The tincture gently bubbles in the flask. You slowly turn the press to shape the pills you need. The day in your little pharmacy begins, and you wonder what challenges await you today. The ointment must be ready soon after opening, as the patient is longing for relief. However, you still need special herbs for a new medicine, so you'll have to make a detour to the forest. But not for too long, because in the afternoon you have a lecture on mixing, which will help you improve your skills. And then it's off to the shopkeeper to replace your old mortar with a new one, so you can make even more of your favorite tea, while always keeps you so alert and active. It's so vital. Just when there's a knock at the door, the new apprentice has a few questions, and your day begins. In Tinctura, you are a pharmacist in a small town pharmacy in the 18th or 19th century, and you plan your day to make medicines, procure the ingredients you need, hire and train apprentices, and educate yourself in various fields. But any plan is only as good as your competition will allow it to be. Tinctura is accompanies you through 5 days of a week. Each day you plan unobserved what you want to do during the 9 hours of the upcoming round. Everybody does this behind their screen, and you have to decide which hours you want to visit the village or the forest or work in your own pharmacy. You can decide what exactly you will be doing there when the time comes, and at the end, the player who has collected the most victory points by treating patients and other successful endeavors will win the game. So before moving any further, let me again emphasize that what you see in front of you, it's an advanced prototype. It looks gorgeous, but still it's just a prototype. So you have to visit the link in the description of the video below to find out more about the campaign, which is launching any time now, and find out more about details on the final production of the game, which has a fantastic cover, by the way. So, before doing anything else, let's familiarize ourselves with the components of the game. First of all, we have one main board, and I have to say how beautiful this game is crafted. The whole game board is dual layered, and it's recessed all the way from the recovery points, which are the victory points in this game, to the different areas in the forest where you procure your ingredients for your pharmacy, the different locations, and so on. So really nice and well done. We have 4-player boards for skills. Let me show you one of those up close. This is an example. Okay, we have the skills. This goes into pressing, heating, filtering, mixing and filtering. This is your botany skill, which goes all the way up, and at any given time it's the value of the column. So this is 5, your botany skill, or 4. And here is your mortar truck, which goes from 1 all the way to 7. Again, this looks like a tablet. It has slots for different hours, especially when you acquire patients, which I will come back to that later. Okay, and you place them in different slots here around your board, because you have to procure the cure for them, the medicine, until the same hour, the latest, until the same hour of the next day, or else you face a penalty. So this is a player board. Then we have a number of 36 total patient cards. These are going to be explained how they work later on. The severity of the disease is on the top. What they want for remedy is here, in terms of pills, tincture or ointment, etc. Okay, and then more on that later, but we have 36 total of those, and these are placed here. More on the setup later, just focusing on the components at the moment. We have 16 apprentice cards, plus 1 blocked apprentice for when we're playing with less than 4 players. Okay, it's used for blocking some of the spots. Just to show you the apprentice cards, these are 2-sided. Once they can become from apprentice journeyman or journeywoman, respected and upgraded, and they're in the 4 different types of medicine that are used in the game, and each stack has 4 of them, and some of them start on the player board. We have 13 training cards. These are these cards here for different courses that we can take. This is all about self-development and training, both for yourself and your apprentices. So this is really well approached in terms of growth and development. We have 1 dice. We have several tokens in terms of different ingredients that we have. Just to show you one, to give you an example, there is a total of 112 plant tiles. These are called plant tiles, and this can vary from, I don't know, mushroom, from fruit, from roots, berries, or herbs, etc. Okay, they have different art, as you can see, and these are included, coming to this nice bag here, where you have your plants. There are 16 bonus markers in each of the player color. Just to show you, these are the cylinders here. They start off the board. Once you start having 1 bonus in one of the categories, here or here, you just place the first one there, and once it progresses, it moves to the next step and gives you various interesting bonuses, which you should not forgo. There are also the opening hours for the merchant. This is a stack of tiles with the opening hours, which shifts depending on the day. As I mentioned, this game is played over 5 days, from Monday to Friday, and this is the round tracker. Okay. We also have the T tracker and the T marker for each of the players. These nice printed teapots, which track the turn order, and this turn order is different each hour of the day. Can differ each hour of the day, so it's really important, the turn order in this game. We have various furnishings, these tokens, which go in this spot for the merchant, and 2 mortars, and they go in this spot. There is a specific bag for these that they come in here, more on that later. Then we have 48 planning markers in 3 colors. These are over there. And just to show you the different colors, we have the green one, which is used to indicate that, for example, on the 8th hour, I want to work here in the forest. And you can have more of that as you move along. We have the blue, which indicates the town, and when you place it in an hour, it indicates that you want to work in the town area, to get new apprentices, to do training, different seminars, buy things from the merchant, and so on. And there is your own pharmacy planning marker, which is to indicate that you work for that specific hour in your board. You're going to be working in your own pharmacy with the different actions. What you're going to do there, it's up to you from the options, but when you're going to do it depends on your planning on your personal board. Speaking of board, besides your own pharmacy board with your skills, you have this fantastic pocket watch, which is also recessed, as you can see, and it has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 slots for the duration where your pharmacy is open, and you can plan what you're going to do during these hours with the planning markers that I just showed you. There are also some additional bits and pieces here. I may be missing something. For example, this is the recovery marker. It starts at 0 if I'm not mistaken, and on top of my head, and it is going around the table. Again, this is a score track, the recovery points, as they're called in this game, RPs, and these are in the recessed track, as you can see. Last but not least, we have some player aids which are not part of this prototype, and they're going to also include what the star means on the different tracks, which you get some massive bonuses for each of those when you reach the 3rd spot with your bonus marker. And of course, there is the rulebook. Last is these nice player screens that you have to place in front of your planning board when you do the planning. Okay, I'm not going to be using them for practical purposes because even though they're really nice, okay, I'm not going to be using them because simply I will hide the things and the components I want to show you. But you can imagine when you do planning, you just hide your own planning board with one of those screens, and everybody is doing it simultaneously. So there you have it, more or less. These are the components of the prototype. I hope I give you a good understanding of what you see. If you want to see more details on the prototype unboxing, you can go and visit my separate unboxing prototype video, which shows more detail and up close of each and every of the components, the art of the cards, etc. So now let's continue with the game setup. So let's move to the game setup. And first with the general setup before moving to the player setup. We place the large game board in the center of the playing area with easy reach for all players. This is this game board over here. Then we sort out cards, these cards here, by number in the top right corner of the card. We shuffle the individual stacks separately, so shuffle separately number 6, number 5, number 4 deck, the 3 deck, and the 1 deck that you see in front of you. These are shuffled, then we remove 1 card from each individual stack if there are 4 players, 2 cards from each individual stack if there are 3 players, and 3 cards if there are 2 players. And you can see that also because there is in the market, or the row I should say, of patience, the number of the players that you're going to occupy as well. And therefore then you create a stack by having the 6 on the bottom and the one with the lowest value on top, Theoretically, first is the 1, and from there you fill in your row of patients accordingly. Okay, so this is how you do. Keep in mind that you're going to leave 1 free space if there are 3 players, meaning like that, or 2 free spaces if you're playing a 2-player game. Then we shuffle the training cards. These are the training cards. We shuffle them and we place them on the designated spot, and we reveal the 2 cards available there. It's always useful to have the one which goes earlier in the day, for example 10 AM, in the left slot, and the one that goes later in the right slot. In this case, this one goes at 1 PM. Then we find the 2 mortars, really nice custom mortars, from the supply, and we place them in the designated spot on the merchant's mortar spaces on the game board. We place the other 12 furnishings in the corresponding bag. That's this bag here. And from there we draw items, 8 items for 4 players, 6 items for 3 players, and 4 items for 2 players, depending on the number of players, and we place them in the slot here. Okay, this is the merchant's stalls, let's say. We place the drawn items in any order on the merchant spaces, doesn't matter which goes where, and they're now available for purchase. Then we shuffle the tiles for the merchant's opening hours and place them in an open pile on the corresponding space, and the top tile is valid for the first day. This is this pile here, which has the opening hours for the merchant, and it changes from round to round. The one on the top of the pile is valid for the first day. Following that, we place the 2 experiment markers in the corresponding spots, and we keep the die nearby in the experimenting spot. We place all the plant tiles in the corresponding bag, and now, depending on the number of players, we fill in the spaces in the forest with the plants from the bag by placing 1 plant from the bag drawn on each of the slots. If we're playing a 2-player game, we're going to fill this section. If we're playing a 3-player game, this section and this section. And if we're playing a 4-player game, all the forest is going to be populated by drawing plants from the bag and placing them in the forest, respectively. Last, we place the day marker in the first space of the day track, marking Monday, round 1 out of 5. Now let's move to the player setup. We take 1 player board, each for skills and time management, and place them in front of us. So this is the one for the skills, and this is the one for the time management. We place the 6 skill markers of our color on the 4 skill tracks. So each one of those goes in the beginning of the track. Again, I remind you, this is pressing, this is heating, this is mixing, and this is filtering. So the 4 first skill tracks go there. We also place 1 on the botany track, indicating that our botany level is 1. This is the botany track. And we place 1 on the mortar track, indicating the level of our mortar. These markers are going to be progressing based on the training you receive in the course of the game. Keep in mind the maximum they can reach is the end of their track. They cannot go beyond that if you reach the maximum level of training in each of those skills. Then we take 3 planning markers in blue, green and white. Again, I remind you, these are the colors. This is the blue, this is the white, and this is the green. And also we take 2 in the player color. These are the apprentice planning markers, as they're called, in your player color. Okay. And you keep them nearby. Following that, you place your recovery marker at the bottom of the recovery track. This is going to progress as you gain victory points in the game, which are called recovery points. The last thing that we do is we keep nearby the 4 bonus markers that we have. They start outside of the main board. The first time we gain 1 level in each of those 4 categories, we're going to place it in the first slot for each of the track. More on that later. And meaning here, the first time you take your bonus marker, and players can coexist in these spots, obviously. And we take the T markers, these nice spot markers, which track turn order, and it changes even from 1 hour to the next one within the same round day. We take the T markers from all players, draw them in any order, and place them on top of each other on the 0 space, here, on the track. And this is the order of the play for the start of the game, meaning the yellow player on top is the first one, and the purple player at the bottom is the fourth one. The last step, each player draws plants from the bag and places them in front of them. The player whose turn is first in the playing turn order takes 1 plant. The player who's second takes 2 plants, and all other players take 3 plants and place them in front of them. We're ready to start the game. Gameplay. Tinctura is played over 5 days, tracked in the day tracker. Each of the day consists of 9 hours, which you can see in your planning board as well. And in each of these hours, you can perform exactly 1 action, and some actions even take 2 hours. At the beginning of each day, you plan the day's action behind your screen. Remind you, I haven't been using this, but there is the screen that you have in front of your planning time management board, okay? And you plan behind your screen at the beginning of the day by placing markers on the fields of the different hours in the slots, okay, depending on what area of the board you're planning to visit each hour. Only the area of the action, pharmacy for white, village for green, for blue, sorry, and forest for green, is planned in advance, not the exact action. When everyone has finished planning, the screens are removed, and in each hour of the day, you now carry out the actions one after the other, whereby you are limited to the pre-planned area in each hour, but can still freely choose the actions according to the availability. This is the work phase, as it's called, and the order here is determined by the T track, the T bar, which is this one, and changes each hour. At the beginning of the next day, a few administrative actions are carried out before you start the new day with the same sequence. At the end of the game, we score, and the scores are calculated, and the player who has collected the most recovery points, hereby abbreviated as RPs or victory points, wins the game. The planning phase. In the planning phase, you secretly plan the course of the 9 hours of the day. To do so, you place the screen in front of the time management tableau so that the other players cannot see it. Then you place a planning marker in the color of the location you want to visit during that specific hour on each of your field of the pocket watch. You do not have to decide on the exact action you will take and the location at this point. A white marker means that you want to work in the pharmacy, a blue marker takes you to the village, a green marker symbolizes that you want to go to the forest, and you do not have unlimited number of markers in each color, so you cannot visit each location as often as you would like. You can obtain additional markers during the game. If you have an apprentice whom you were unable to train as a journeyman the day before, you must use one of the hours of the day with the apprentice planning marker in your game color. You cannot perform any actions during this hour of the day because you are planning and busy supervising the apprentice. Therefore, instead of using the color track markers, you're using your apprentice training marker. And this time is lost to you in the game, but you're going to end up with having training an apprentice. Once you all finish planning, the planning phase ends, and then you remove screens in front of your time planning boards. So let's see in a nutshell. So this is a potential output after planning. For example, you would have selected and placed in different slots of the hours different type of apprentice planning markers, indicating that, for example, at 8 o'clock, following of course T-track time, you're going to be working in the city, doing an action from the city, while on the next hour of the day, on 9 o'clock, you're going to be taking an activity in the forest, obviously collecting ingredients and plant tiles. And this is how it works. If you are planning to do a training, instead of adding one of those, you will be having your training apprentice token, which indicates that you don't do any actions in the city, because of your personal color marker there, but you're going to be training an apprentice instead, and you can only do that twice a day. So this is just an example to show you how it would look like after the planning phase and removing the screens from all players. Work phase. In each hour of the work phase, you carry out your planned actions one after the other. The order of the T markers here from the T track indicate are quite decisive and indicate which goes first. The player who is furthest ahead may perform an action first, followed by the other players in the order of the T markers. If, for example, the T track is like that, that means the yellow player is going to play first for the 8-hour slot, then the blue player, then the red player, and last the purple player beneath the red player. That happens if several T markers are on the same spot. And keep in mind that the order of the T markers, and thus the order of play, can change from hour to hour. That means that the turn order at 8 o'clock may be very different at the turn order at 9 o'clock or 10 o'clock and so on. Depending on the color of your planning marker in your planning board, you will now perform an action in the pharmacy if it is white, for the hour that we're playing now, in the village if it is blue, or in the forest if it is green. The actions available are going to be explained later on, but keep in mind that you can choose the experiment action with any type of planning marker, meaning you can spend a blue, either blue, green, or a white marker in the hour that we're playing always, and do the experimenting action, okay, like a universal action always available. Once everyone has performed their action for, let's say, 8 o'clock, then the game continues to the next hour of the day until all 9 hours have passed. Now let's focus on the different actions that we can perform in the village, the pharmacy, and the forest. Actions in the village. The following actions are available in the village. You can attend training, you can attend individual training, you can hire an apprentice, or you can visit a merchant. So let's see each of those with a bit more detail. Training courses allow you to improve your skills in mixing, pressing, filtering, and hitting. I remind you, these are these skills here, and progress your skill marker accordingly. Each training course now starts at a specific time, and there are always lasts 2 hours. So you see, this takes 2 hours and this takes 2 hours from the card. And this starts at 10 a.m. That means you are going to be able to execute it if you have a blue marker indicating that you are eligible to play in the village at the respective slot. Okay, each training course starts at a specific time and always lasts 2 hours, and that means that you must have placed a planning marker for actions in the village of both of these hours in your planning, meaning 2 blue markers for the duration, starting at 10 and then at 11. In the second hour of the training course, you will improve your skills according to the information on the training card, so you move your markers furthest along the skill bars that I showed you on your skill board, provided that this is still possible. You haven't reached maxed out, that I mean, and you have not reached out the end of the bar. During the mixing training, you may discard any one of or 2 of your plans, doesn't matter which, to increase the skill by another 1 or 2 points respectively. Okay. You can also attend the same training session with several other players. That means you're not prohibited to go to the same training. Keep in mind this is a seminar provided in the town. And in some training courses you receive additional planning markers as a selection, not all 3, just select one of the 3, which you then add to your supply of planning markers and having more possibilities when planning in the future. This allows you to perform more actions of the same type during the planning phase, the more you have. So this is just an example. Here you're going to progress twice on the pressing skill, meaning, simply put, here, 1, 2, okay, and gain 1 marker, not all 3 of them, one, no matter one color of your choice. In this scenario, if you attended this training at 1 o'clock, you would be able to progress 1 on the mixing and 1 on the hitting Okay, and this of course make you better by giving you additional skills and markers. In certain training courses you may experiment twice. This is in addition to the 2 experimentation opportunities in a round, and no experimentation markers are removed. Okay, you cannot improve your botany skill through training, only by collecting in the forest through experimentation. This is your botany skill. This is never improved via these training cards. It's only improved by collecting plants, obviously, in the forest. Attend individual training, which is here. If you want to hire, if you want to have a single, let's say, a training course, that allows you to improve one skill, either mixing, pressing, filtering, or hitting, any of the 4, by 1 point. To do this, you just discard any plant. It doesn't matter which plant it is, okay? You just discard it, and then a single training course lasts only 1 hour, and you progress on that skill accordingly. Hiring an apprentice. Here, if you want to hire an apprentice, choose one of the apprentice cards on display and place it in front of you with the apprentice side facing up. Let me show you how this is. We have each card has the apprentice side, and then it's upgraded to the journeywoman or journeyman respectively. So they're always hired as apprentices, so you hire one of the 4 from the apprentice row and place it next to you. A new apprentice card is not added immediately. You may only hire apprentices of a type that you do not already have an apprentice or journeyman of, meaning ointment, pills, tincture with the icon, okay, and special recipe. In addition, you may only have a maximum of 2 apprentices at any one time. In order to hire another one, you must first train at least one of them and flip it to become a journeyman. You will receive the bonus shown on the apprentice card when you train an apprentice to become a journeyman by producing the corresponding medicine, and then you will receive a one-time bonus in the form of recovery points, victory points, or advantages when producing the medicine moving forward, which is, in this case, +2 victory points. Okay, once it's from the journeyman option, but for the tinctures specifically. The last option available in the town is visit merchants. At the merchant you can buy furnishings, okay, these are the furnishings that allow you to advance on the 4 bonus tracks on the game board and earn bonuses. You can identify the track by looking at the back color of the item. You can also purchase additional mortars here. So the mortars are here, okay, and the furnishings are here. The merchant, keep in mind, is only open during the opening hours, which are depicted and enforced by the tile, in this case from 1 to 3 p.m. okay, sorry, from 12 to 4 p.m. from 12 to 4 p.m. but in another round, if this merchant comes in town, it opens from 8 a.m. to 12 a.m. So this dictates the opening hour, so you need to plan ahead carefully. The items and mortars are available at tiles at the merchants. You can purchase up to 3 items and mortars per visit you do there, with a single visit. 1 item or mortar costs 1 plant. 2 cost 2 plants, and 3 cost 4 plants. And the type of the plant again is arbitrary. It doesn't matter. Arbitrary, it doesn't matter what it is. If you shop during the first hour of the opening hours, in each of those tiles, you see, if I shop at 12 o'clock because I want to have first dibs, and let's say I know that I'm going first from another player who's potentially speculating he or she goes there, then you need to pay a total of 1 plant of your choice more. That's why you have a +1 here. So you can go first, but you need to spend 1 more on top of what you're buying. Okay? If you go last, then you pay 1 less, but maybe what you really wanted is not available there. So that's a really interesting mechanism. So for each piece of furniture you purchase, you move your bonus marker forward 1 space on the corresponding bonus track. Okay, so if I bought this one, it's also color coded, that means for the first time, let's say I'm the red player, I'm going to place it here. Okay, in a subsequent, if I buy another one in one of the next rounds or in the same round, then I'm going to move up Okay, and here players are going to have, they can coexist there. Okay, it doesn't stop each player where they can be, and there are different tracks in different areas of the board. Okay, for the different furnishings that you acquire. I'm just placing randomly now some. Okay, but be mindful that you can only go up to the 4th level, which is the maximum. So for each piece of furniture, you move your bonus marker forward 1. When you take the first, as I said, you just place it on the first spot of the track, and the item is then returned to the designated bag, meaning here. For each mortar purchased, if you purchase a mortar, you will track this on your skill board. So meaning here you're going to progress down for each mortar you purchase, but keep in mind, okay, that once you do, you're going to set aside the mortar on the side of outside of the main board. Okay, and when you do, that means if both of the mortars are bought, that means you will have to wait until the next day for players, each player, no matter, not only you, to be able to buy mortars. Okay, so there is a limited offer per day. So, a word about the bonus tracks. Depending on your progress, the bonus tracks give you one-time bonuses, advantages, and for the rest of the game, or direct recovery points which you advance on the track around the board. In addition, there is significant advantage to be gained, which is marked with a star. Okay, each track, whether it's the blue one, the purple one, the white, which is on the pharmacy, or the green, which is down in the forest, you have the 3rd spot with a star. Okay, this is going to be listed on the player aid, which I don't have it now at the moment. It's going to be in the final production game. And just to mention, for the blue, that means that you may immediately and once advance 1 step on your mortar track. For the orange, for the purple, that means that you may experiment immediately and once without removing an experiment marker. We'll explain experiment later. And for white, which is on the top, you don't see it now, you may immediately and only once take 2 plants out of the bag. And for the green, which is at the bottom, at the forest, you may immediately and only once only take 2 plants out of the bag. Okay, sorry, for the white, you may immediately advance 1 step on the T track, meaning the turn order, which is here at the top. Now, on the 2nd and 4th slot of these bonus tracks, there are recovery points which you immediately take and advance on the victory point track around the board. Okay, when you reach here and here, so potentially you'll gain 10 if you max out all of the bonus tracks, which is very, I don't think it's feasible, but that's how you do it in theory. On the 3rd space, okay, on the 3rd space, you sometimes earn recovery points based on the current day on which you earn this advantage. Monday 1 recovery point, Tuesday 2 recovery points, etc. And there is also a major advantage to be gained here. And briefly to mention it, for purple you may distribute 3 skill points to any of your skills once and advance the corresponding markers on your skill board. Not botany, of course. White, once per day you may perform an action in the pharmacy twice, for example take tea twice, or take 2 patients, or make 2 medicines. For green, once per day you may take any additional plant during the action in the forest. And blue, you may immediately receive 2 mortars once, so you move forward 2 spaces on the mortar track on your skill board. Okay, so these are in a nutshell the actions that you have in the town. So now let's focus in the pharmacy. Actions in the pharmacy, which is the top part of the main board. The following are available: accept patients, all these are patients, produce medicine, and make tea. Okay, so let's see accept patients. You take one of the patient cards from the game board and place it next to your skill tableau at the current time where you got that patient accepted. Okay, so for example, I can take, let's say, this person who has a light addiction. Okay, and if it was my marker was a white one during the 10th hour, I'm going to place him here. You see, If I took him, let's say, in 2 p.m., I'm going to place him here. So there are slots around your main board for indicating at which time you took that patient. And this is important, you'll see now why. You may place a maximum of 2 active patients cards on your board. Only when you have produced at least 1 medicine you can accept new patients again. And the patient cards on your game board are now moved to the left. And a new patient card is drawn, meaning if you take that one, they're going to be moved. Okay? And you're going to place a new card. Okay? And the information on the patient cards is going to be explained later on, how they work. Okay? But that's the main way how you accept patients to be able to treat them later. The other option available is to produce medicine. You must choose this action to treat a patient that you have accepted and placed already as card on your tableau. You have exactly 1 day to do so, and this after adding the card, okay, even in the same day. This means that you must produce the medicine no later than the hour of the following day on which you added the card. That's why you place the accepted patients at a slot, indicating on the next day you have to provide the medicine by the same hour, meaning a full day, moving across days and rounds in terms of slots in the hour. If you manage to do this, you will receive the specified reward according to the information and the card. And if you do not manage to do this, your patient is going to be dissatisfied, of course, angry, and you will receive one negative penalty point. Okay, so you're going to lose 1 victory point. Once you have treated the patient or the deadline has expired, you remove the card from your tableau, and then it is removed from the game. In order to serve the patients properly, you must follow the instructions listed on the cards themselves. So let me show you one card and focus on the anatomy. Okay, you'll see that the patient card tells you which medicine is needed and what is required to produce it, plants and skills. The different types of medicine: pills, ointments, special recipes, or tinctures, okay, which are indicated on the card patient themselves. For some patients you can choose between two medicines. So in this case I can either give a special recipe to the patients to cure their neck cracking, or an ointment. Okay, and it's up to me what I'm planning to provide. One specimen of each of the plant shown is required. In this case you need fruit or berries, whatever this is, and in this case you need herbs. Okay, or roots or mushroom. Okay, in this case you need what is depicted. If it has a plus, a mushroom plus a fruit, I need to provide both. If I has either, in this case any of 3 combined, okay, you do as indicated on the card. Each medicine specifies the minimum level of skills required. This is either the number in the black seal, meaning 2 here or 2 here in the ointment, or it could be that it is the number on the card on the top, meaning here, instead of having the banner here, it has it at the top of the card, as you can see. Okay, so either on the medicine itself or at the top of the card. The level of the medicine quality is indicated there. This is the minimum level, and if the level is evaluated, you need to work around that in order to be able to provide the medicine. We'll see that later on. A corresponding level of botany is always necessary, while the other skills vary depending on the type of medicine. If you do not have the required skills for necessary skills, you cannot produce this medicine at this time, and the medicine produced will then have a certain quality level that corresponds to your lowest skill level required for the production. Meaning, if your skills for heating or for mixing is lower than that, this will dictate the whole level of the quality of the medicine. For example, if you produce a pill and your botany skill is at level 4 and your pressing skill is at level 3, this pill will have a quality level of 3, not a level quality 4, because your botany, again, botany is the top part of the card. Yeah, and there is always a request for a botany level, as you can see. Here you require mixing and botany, and the quality is 2. Okay, so if one of the two, either your botany or your mixing is 1, you cannot produce this quality of medicine. When crafting tinctures, you may add, tinctures are these ones here, which is the bottle. When you craft tinctures, you may add as many additional mushrooms as you wish to increase the quality level by 1 point for each. However, you must spend 1 victory point, 1 recovery point for each mushroom spent. This can also be used to reach the required minimum level, and in this case you would need to use 1 mushroom for each point difference between the lowest relevant skill and the minimum level. Okay, so this is how it works. If you can produce the medicine within the time limit, you will receive the corresponding reward depending on the information on the card. There are different rewards. This can either be a fixed number of victory points, like this one, you will receive 4 victory points. Or it could be a time-based, like this one. If you successfully, this is a time-based, if you successfully produce a medicine on this time, you will receive the number of recovery points indicated on the card depending on the time that it was elapsed since the order was placed. Only active hours count, and this can be calculated from the top of the card here. Last but not least, you can have a specific amount of fixed based on the quality, meaning here if you produced a quality level 1 you gain 2 victory points, or if you produced a quality level 4 medicine you're going to get 8 victory points. So these are the 3 different rewards and the 3 different options that you have. Now, training an apprentice to become a journeyman. Okay, this is going to be one of the apprentices you have next to your player board because you hired them in the town earlier. Training apprentice to become journeyman is not an action you can choose. If you have hired an apprentice and then prepared the medicine required for the apprentice card, the apprentice is promoted to journeyman. Okay, meaning let's say you prepared a tincture and you have already hired one of these apprentices, then they're going to be upgraded to journeyman by flipping this card to the other side. You turn the apprentice card to the journeyman side, and you now receive the corresponding benefit once or for the rest of the game. If you only have and train 1 apprentice of each type, that means that you cannot have a second one, journeyman of tinctures. Okay, so keep that in mind. And journeyman brings you advantage in the game, either a one-time or a permanent. The advantages can be, all they are at the back of these apprentice cards. You can receive a certain number of recovery points once. You can, whenever you produce a specific medicine, you may advance 2 space on the botany track, or whenever you produce a specific medicine, you may advance 1 space on a specific skill, or whenever you produce a specific medicine, you receive a certain number of additional recovery points based on the journeyman side of the card. Let's move back here at the produce T option. You can produce T to improve your position on the T track and thus take your turn earlier, and the change in the order will have a direct effect in the next hour of the day. And that's really interesting because the turn order usually in games is for the next round. In this game it's for the next hour of the current round, and this makes it amazing in my opinion. Per action, you may produce a maximum amount of T equal to the number of mortars you have, for example, corresponding to the position of your marker on the mortar track or your skill board, and however, you may also produce less T than what you are allowed to do. For each T produced, you must discard either 1 root or 1 herb in order to produce the corresponding cup of tea. You then move your marker 1 space forward on the T track for each of the cup T produced. Okay. If there are already markers on the target space, you place a marker on top of them. And to ensure that the T track is sufficient, the markers are always moved back towards the start of the track when none of you are at the starting space of the track anymore. And now this action does not allow you to produce so much T, so that you would have to move beyond the end of the track. And if your marker is stacked on top of others at the end of the track, you are producing T, then the marker will definitely move up to the top of the stack. At the end of the game, you will receive recovery points according to your position on the T track, and this is part of the end game scoring. Actions in the forest, which is the bottom part of the main board. Only 1 action is available there, and that's to collect plants, obviously. Collecting plants. Depending on the time of the day you visit the forest, you could take a certain number of plant tiles of your choice from the display forest. And this is captured here nicely in this table. From 8 to 10 a.m. you take 1 plant, from 11 to 1 p.m. you take 2 plants, and from 2 to p.m. you take 3 plants. And at 3 p.m. you may take as many as 4 plants. Okay? The remaining plants are divided equally among all the players who choose this action at the 4 p.m. And these are distributed to the remaining players. You place this in front of you, all the plants you're collecting, and now you can use them for a variety of actions. Keep in mind that there is no limit on the plants that you have in front of you. Now, let's talk about botany, and I'm going to move this board here to show you the botany track. By collecting plants, you can move your botany skill. You may move your marker on your skill board 1 space forward whenever the plant you have just collected matches the illustration on the next free space on the track. You do not have to discard the plant, of course you keep it, you just have to have it. So if I just collected a root, that means I'm going to move here. If I collected 2 herbs and 1 mushroom, I will automatically move here. And by doing so, look, my botany level is already at 3. You may also move your marker 1 space if the plant you have collected does not match the image of the next free space. Let's say I collected herbs, and which means I will not move here, but if I discard that what I collected, then I would move. Otherwise, I do not discard them. This option is voluntary, but is only available during the activity in the forest, not other times. And your current level of botany is always displayed below the track, and it's determined by the column in which your marker stands. Here, my botany level is 3. Here my botany level is 5, wherever I'm here, doesn't matter, I'm still level 5. So this is how botany works. Experiment. For this action it does not matter which location, pharmacy, village or forest you visit at the time. You can experiment with any type of planning marker, either green, blue or grey. The color doesn't matter. Each time you perform this action, you remove one of the 2 markers next to this action, so this is removed for the current round. And then you perform the experiment. Once both markers have been removed, this action cannot be performed again that day. To experiment, you roll the die once, and depending on the result, the table will tell you which of your skills you have improved. You move the corresponding marker on the skill board forward unless it has reached the end of the scale, and if you roll a 6 you can choose any of the skills increased by 1 or 2 for botany. Okay? Other than that, in this case I would move the pressing skill once. If I have no markers in the round I'm playing, I cannot perform experiment. But even if you are planning to do something else, as long as there are markers here to experiment, there is always flexibility to do experiment instead of your originally thought planned action, because you can use any color of the markers, no matter the color, to do it. Discarding and exchanging plants. Any plants you have to discard are not returned directly to the bag, so you don't put them here. Okay, you just keep them outside at the pool next to the game board. Only when the bag is emptied at the end of the day to replenish the forest are the plants collected in the bag, and then you have the full bag again. You may exchange any 2 plants, even different ones, for another plant at any time, even multiple times, and to do so you place the 2 plants you wish to discard next to the others, next to the game board, and then you take the desired plant either from the discarded plants or from the bag if it's not available among the discarded plants. End of the day. Once you have performed your last action of the day at 4 p.m, the current day ends. Now a few things are prepared for the next day, and if it's already Friday, the game ends, and then you continue to the end of the game section and scoring. First, you refill the forest with the new plant tiles from the bag, depending on the number of players, like we did during setup. If the bag becomes empty, you return all the plant tiles collected next to the game board into the bag, and then you use that to refill. You remove the 2 training cards and lay out a new one. So these go, and 2 more get into their spot. You remove the current tile with the merchant opening hours, and the next tile is now available for the next round, which is upcoming. Then you place the 2 mortars back. If they have been purchased from the players, you just return them here, so they are available. You put all furnishings still available at the merchant back into the bag. Anything that was not purchased, it goes back into the bag, and then you draw new items depending on the number of players and you lay them out like we did during setup. You place new apprentices on the board depending on the number of players, and apprentices already on the board are not removed, so no new apprentices are placed on these spaces. Keep in mind that for each apprentice that you were unable to train as a journeyman on the previous day, you must block one hour on the upcoming day with a marker in your game color during the planning phase. And this is exception if with 2 or 3 players, one or more of the apprentices still on the board are blocked for the following day, then these apprentices are removed from and returned to the corresponding pile. Also, you place these back into the experimentation spot, and then you move the day marker on the next day here to indicate the round that you're going, the day of the weekend / round you're going to be playing, starting with the planning phase and moving forward like we shown you. End of the game. Once you have all performed the last action of Friday, the game ends and the final scoring begins. You move your recovery point marker on the track forward according to your recovery point, and you receive in addition. However, you still have the opportunity to use your remaining plants to produce more medicines whose patient cards are still on your tableau. You will then receive recovery points according to the level and type of the medicine, and there is a special table in the rulebook where you can follow. For every patient you can no longer serve, you must deduct 1 recovery point. There is a penalty. Depending on your position of the T-bar, you now receive the victory points, 10 victory recovery points for the first position, meaning here. Okay, let me show you. Whoever is first is going to take 10 victory points. Okay. Then 6 victory points, recovery points for the second position, and 3 for the third position. In the event of a tie, the player who is on top of the marker is again in the lead. You also receive as many recovery points as your marker position in the T track indicates. Example, if your T marker is on space 7 on the track, you receive an additional 7 victory points. Here the yellow is going to take an additional 6, so it's quite a lot. So it's a good investment to plan ahead on the T track. Okay. Then when you reach the end of the botany track, your marker, you will receive 8 recovery points. Just to show you, this is here. Once you reach the end of your botany track, you're going to get another 8 recovery points. And for journeyman, you receive recording points according to the table. You do not receive any recovery points for untrained apprentices. So if you have 1, you take 0 points. If you have 4, you can get all the way 18. With 2, you get 4. With 3, you get 9. For your least developed skill, including botany but not mortars, you receive recovery points according to the table in the rulebook. Meaning, in this case, the least developed for me is this one, which is 2. That means I'm going to get only 3 recovery points. If I have my least developed one, including botany, but not including mortars, okay? If my least developed is 3 out of all of them, I'm going to get 6, with 4, 10, with 5, 14, with 6, 19, with 7, 24, with 8, 30, and with 9, 36. So you can gain a lot of additional recovery points from the least developed skill, including botany. And the player who achieved the most recovery points is the winner of the game. And in the event of a tie, the player who is furthest ahead on the T-track, of course, wins the game. So there you have it. This is everything you need to know on how Tinctura plays. Now let's move back up for my final first impressions for the game. So there you have it. This is how you play Tinctura, and it's a game that really took me by surprise. I'm a big fan of medium Euro games with a lot of thematic ties, because I do believe that Euro games can bring a lot of the theme if you do it correctly, and this is an excellent example, a thematic Euro game done thematically in a way that you feel like you are a pharmacist in the 18th or 19th century, and you need to train yourself, collect ingredients and plants and herbs and mushrooms from the forest to make your pills, your tinctures, your ointments, and your special recipes in order to produce remedies for the patients that are coming in ask of help from you. It's a very interesting game in terms of how it really takes a fundamental game mechanism, a worker placement, and really elevates it with the planning phase It's essentially the board is separated in 3 different sections. The top board, which is your specific pharmacy, your shop, the middle board, which is the town, and the bottom board, which is the forest. And the planning phase is amazing, as you've seen, because based on what you want to do at the specific slot of the day, you have to place a specific color of planning marker, of your apprentice marker, indicating that you're going to focus on that area of the board and work there, but you don't necessarily say what you're going to do. That means that there is a lot of competition between the players. This is done simultaneously, the planning phase, and then when you move to the execution phase, as the action phase evolves and players take action by all playing the 9th hour of the day, the 8th hour of the day, the 1st hour of the day, you know, focusing on what we plan to do. We may overlap, we may not. Then you turn to the T track, which is the turn order, and in this game it's fantastic how the turn order is really evolving. It's different each hour of the day. So you play 5 days, have you seen, which is 5 rounds essentially, and each day has a specific amount of hours. And the, you know, from 10 a.m. to 11 a.m., the T track may change, and meaning the turn order will change for the next hour of the day. And this is so vital, because if you're really looking for getting something specifically from the forest, or if you want to grab this apprentice, or if you want to grab these patients, or deliver something, or gain the upgrades from the furnishings, from the merchant, and all sorts of different things, timing is of essence. And it really came completely for me when I had this pressure, this I don't know, friendly anxiety, how you call it, which is a lot of thematically, I would expect, that when you place your patient around your board at the specific time slot, you only have 1 day to provide the remedy, the medicine, the pill, the tincture, or whatever. And if not, you gain 1 victory point. And not only to mention, you wasted actions doing so. So this is really thematic for me, because if you don't deliver the medicine, you are going to get dissatisfied customers, patients, and then you're going to lose reputation points or recovery points in this game. So very well done. For me, the fantastic and most innovative thing is the planning phase, and the execution, of course, which builds on the planning phase. The competition between the players is really tough and constant, and all the time, and dynamic as well. But it's done in a direct way, so it's not a hostile game. The development and, you know, the training and how you develop and how you get more skills, it's fantastic in the game. I really enjoyed your upskilling and gaining apprentices and journeymen and journeywomen and getting your skills up. And the victory point scoring at the end is phenomenal. You get a lot of additional victory points based on how well you did on training, what you have performed, etc. And everything comes together in a very satisfying and full medium Euro, which is thematic, which is unique, which blends really well-known mechanisms like worker placement in a very innovative and refreshing way, and delivering an overall fantastic gaming experience. So if you like this video, do give me a thumbs up, or join the channel. Do follow the link in the description of the video to find out more about the game, which is launching. Most probably it's already live at the time you see this video, and find out more about this new Euro game from Scaling Games, one to keep an eye for. So many thanks for watching.